Hello, everyone. My name's Graham Carter. This is the Band of Runners podcast with Rob and Simon.
Thanks, Graham. Can't wait to talk to you a bit later. So, how are you, Simon? It's strange to ask that because I probably know. Should do, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you, Rob. So, yeah,
barely socially distanced away from you, aren't I?
Yeah,
across
exactly.
your room.
You're in my bloody house, mate.
Your ass, yeah. That's how we say it in Essex. How's it going anyway?
Yeah, all good.
Had a nice week, haven't you?
Lovely week. So I've had you to stay, haven't I? So we got our social. What was this called? Social
bubble.
Social
Yeah.
bubble.
Well, you're my carer. That's what I tell people. So.
So what we've done a bit of running.
Yeah, a little bit running in lovely Surrey Hills. Been missing them.
Yeah, we've done breakfast clubs, haven't we?
Breakfast clubs, yeah. I've obviously joined your local outfit, the Mole Valley Runners.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's been brilliant. It's my first club runs ever in my entire life. And obviously I showed up wearing a tiara to both of them, trying to embarrass you.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's about that better, really. So here's the situation then. 2 weeks to go till the first race.
Good eat.
North Downs Way 100, so Graham's going to help us out a bit with the prep on that because literally for me, I'm starting to cack it a bit now.
Yeah, a little bit. I've been doing that for weeks.
Yeah.
Where you been? Since, well, the 2 or 3 weeks for which we've known the race is actually going ahead.
Yeah.
It's come up in the review pretty quick, hasn't it?
Well, I mean, for me, it's all gone out the window. I was so ready for this, and then lockdown happened and I wasn't, and I'm still not.
Well, you've done a lot of running. To be fair, so have I. Whether it's quite right or not, I don't know. But the difficulty is if your head's not in it, I think, and we'll talk to Graham about this, but I think the rest of you is going to struggle to make it 102.9 miles, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think less said about it, the better, really, isn't it?
Well, no, I don't be too down on it. We're both going for it, right? We had the chance to pull out. We've chosen not to. We're going for this. This is why we started this podcast, right? We're going to give it a damn good go. And have you sorted out your team and stuff to help you out, or?
No, I'm getting close.
Getting close. Or you're assembling an all-star team, are you?
I think so, hopefully.
I'm lucky. I've had the lovely Rob McGregor, who we had on Once Upon a Time, and his partner Jay on board. So both in the 100 Marathon Club, both pretty experienced. And for some reason, they've volunteered to help me out. They don't know how whiny I get.
Lunatics.
About 70 miles, yeah.
Oh, so what's been the highlight of your holiday, Rob, down here in Surrey?
Highlight of my holiday, well, obviously, Simon, is spending even more time with you, not talking to you through a bloody phone. So, no room for interpretation. It's just, I guess, having to get up early and actually do something, because you don't hang about, do you?
No, it's difficult, isn't it?
It's just like you're running. I don't know how you keep up with yourself. It's ridiculous. But yeah, no, the highlight of the holiday, I think, has been, just getting out, being a bit more sociable, and sort of other runners, so the moles and yourself, and just doing things. Like every day we've done a little something, haven't we? And helped you get settled in here.
Yeah.
Your new digs. How are you finding it?
Well,
It's almost a holiday for you, how new it is.
Yeah, exactly. The real test will be when you leave, isn't it?
My your carer too.
Oh, dear, yeah.
The state of us. But the other thing I'm doing, obviously, it's been helpful being in Surrey this week because I'm doing the Centurion 1-Up Challenge. Now, obviously, we had the one community event a while ago, which was all about distances. And this week, basically, everyone's going through stages of trying to hike up, Box Hill level, all the way up to something called Olympus Mons, which is apparently a massive volcano on Mars.
Right.
Which is like 3 times the height of Everest. So, yeah, just trying to get as many metres of
we did Box Hill, didn't we? We did Box Hill one day.
Yeah, we did Box Hill, and I went back and did it myself because I hadn't enough. Yeah, we did all sorts of rubbish, didn't we? About 1,000 steps. You were laughing at me trying to get up when I started moaning.
Oh, yeah.
You said you liked the moaning.
That was the Raven route, wasn't it?
The Raven route,
yeah.
Do you want to do the Raven? Oh, that sounds nice.
Canary Trail events. They're back online, aren't they? They've got one.
Yeah, I think the Copthorne event is happening.
Yeah, I've seen a few people doing SVN events.
Yeah, well, I've seen your Copthorne trophy laying about, haven't I? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff back on now. SVN, Phoenix are coming back in August. I think they've got some races.
Enigma's around, right?
Enigma's already been doing some events. Great Barrow. Everyone running miles have seen something for, and obviously Saturn. So that's, I think everyone mentioned, all nice and fair.
Hurrah! And everyone's back online.
Yeah, everyone's back online. I'm actually going to go and do some birthday marathons or halves down in the lovely Cyclo Park in Kent.
Good boy.
So, hopefully everyone come along for that. There'll be some cake. I obviously have to throw it at you because we can't touch each other.
Yeah.
That's a shame. full PPE and cake.
Oh,
What a time to be alive.
yeah.
But it is nice. Like, stuff is going a bit back to normal. I know it's still a bit odd. Like, I had to start wearing snoods in the shops today. But
It's face mask day, isn't it?
face mask day.
I'm not happy
You've been
about
announcing it for the last 4.
Oh,
so
I'm not happy about this. I'm not going to go shopping. I'm not doing it.
I can't do it for you anymore, can I?
No. Well, that's what I did today. Was it sent you in?
Yeah.
Just throw you in.
Yeah, get me corona'd.
Oh.
Yeah, get us a sandwich. No, it was just odd, isn't it? But everyone, I guess people are slowly going to get a bit more comfortable being around each other.
Oh,
and stuff.
it'll change. It'll change next week, mate. You watch.
The running club and obviously popping into the pub and stuff. That's the first bite of normality I've had in ages. Not saying living with you is particularly normal, but it's been great fun. So thanks for having us.
That's all right, mate. You're going to have to come back, aren't you, for the North Downs way?
Oh, if I'm invited, yeah, sure.
Well, settle your invoice.
That'll be in the post, won't it? It wasn't on my pillow this morning, so
Yeah.
there wasn't a mint when I arrived either, though. To be fair, so
There was hardly a bed when you arrived. So,
I built a bed.
Rob built a bed.
Well, I built your bed.
Yeah. Right. Who have we got on today?
Who have we got? I've got a good friend of mine. A few people will know him from the Centurion world. His name's Graham Carter, or the Big GC, because he's a very tall man. Recently finished the Grand Slam, so probably perfect timing to talk to this chap and get some advice, really, ahead of 2 weeks' time.
Good. Let's get some North Downs way tips. Here he is.
Hey, good evening.
Hi, Graham.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Yeah, we're good. We're yeah.
Just on my holidays, just
Yeah.
between jobs. How about yourself?
Much the same, yeah.
Yeah, enjoying it. Nice weather.
Absolutely, yeah.
Lovely. Enjoying the trails and everything as usual. Bit more time
Always.
to do it, haven't we? So may as well make the best of it. All right. Well, good to have you on, Graham. It's been a while. We've been speaking about this, but some timing, I suppose, around us getting you on. We'll come on to some of the things that are starting to happen, and we're going to get some of your advice, if that's all right. It's a bit cynical for one of our events that's coming up. But let's start by, I suppose, if you can just introduce yourself, Graham, and you know how you got into running, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Graham Carter, otherwise known as GC to most people in the ultra scene. I guess I started running in my 20s. I'm now 49. Started running in my 20s.
Oh, so you're one of these guys that still has their knees, and you've been doing it for that long?
Yeah. I haven't finished yet. I ran sporadically in my 20s just to kind of try and get a bit of fitness, probably a couple of times a week, 3 miles maybe. But then in my early 30s, a friend of mine I used to work with died of throat cancer. And I remember going to her funeral and hearing about all these amazing things she'd done in her life. And she died at 34, I think, something like that. And thinking, what have I done? And so I left that funeral and I set myself a challenge of running the Great South Run, which is the 10-mile run in Portsmouth every October.
Yeah.
And it was November 2004. And I set myself a challenge of running it the following October. And and it was, did it quite emotional, but I pretty much did the Great South Run every year for about 7 or 8 years, trained for about 6 months, and then basically sat on my arse all winter and didn't bother. And then eventually I got a place in London Marathon in 2012. So I had to train.
Marathon?
The Marathon. Yeah, that's right. The only one.
That was your first, was it?
That was my first.
Yeah.
And I've only run 2 road marathons ever and London twice.
Nice. That's a decent CV, isn't it? How did you find it? Like, did you train really hard? Did you have like plans like this one here, or was it twice around a footy pitch?
A bit more training than you, I think, Rob, to be fair, for that one. So I did train. I followed an ASICS training plan, I think, an online one. I just followed it to the letter.
What does ASICS mean?
As in the footwear.
ASICS. Is ASICS the footwear?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
How many
So
there's so many training plans out there. I can't believe footwear are now doing one as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just googled it, marathon plan, found one, followed it to the letter. Obviously, now I know a bit more about, tweaking the plans. But I followed it to the
what was your
letter.
time, Graham, then, with that first one and doing the plan?
So I was aiming for 4:45.
Yeah.
Based on my training, I thought I might do 4:30 if I was lucky. The trouble is, I trained too hard, so I left it all out in the long runs.
See, that's where you're going wrong.
Died on my ass. I remember going to the expo and hearing the famous words of "Don't go out too fast."
Yeah.
And thinking, "No, I'm fine." Time I got to Tower Bridge, I was knackered. So I actually came in at 5 hours and 16 minutes.
And did you improve on that on the second time?
I did. I did it in 4:19.
Bosh, there we go.
Good stuff.
But that was 4 years later. So
Excellent.
I haven't gone sub 4 for a marathon yet, but there you go.
Is that in your future?
You're
too ultra now.
It's a bit of an itch, but I don't really need to scratch it that much.
Yeah.
I'm not that bothered.
So you have itches that need to be scratched then?
Don't we all? I think it's more about the longer endurance stuff and the pushing yourself. So I'm sure we'll talk more about that.
Well, go ahead. I mean, so what is your longer stuff then, Graham? You consider yourself more an ultra runner?
Yeah, I guess now trail. I think I just call myself a trail runner. Well, I was going to be doing the Kennet and Avon Canal run. Actually,
so that's 145 miles, isn't it?
145 would have been starting it tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah. Not going to do it virtually by yourself then.
Sadly not. So that was cancelled. So that's off the table for now. But I've done the hundreds and they're really hard, as you know.
Yeah.
And I still want to do some more.
So how many hundreds have you completed?
I've completed 6 now.
Wow. And how many have you attempted?
7.
That is a good conversion rate.
Oh.
It's not bad. It was a 2 in 3 conversion rate before I started the slam.
The slam, yeah, we'll come on to that.
Now it's better.
Wow, that's really solid. I think I'm 50%. That's way better than me and most people, to be honest, to probably end up speaking to. They've kind of probably a score draw at this point. That's accomplished. Did you take all the training for the hundreds very seriously? I know it's very different when you're on trail, and the longer distances is much more in the head than probably the academics in the legs. But did you have a plan? Did you have a coach? Anything like that?
I had for the first. Well, if you go back to the first ultra I did, so that was North Downs Way 50. I followed a kind of an amalgam of the training plan out of Relentless Forward Progress, which you might have read.
Yeah, great book.
And I think it was another online plan, and I kind of just melded something together from that. I followed that to the letter, yeah, for sure. Second time around the same. When I did my first 100, South Downs Way 100, I actually wrote my own plan for that, I think.
Yeah, professional by then, weren't you? So,
and it went really well.
Yeah. What was your time for South Downs Way, Graham?
The first time was, I think it was 28:20.
Right.
Okay. Comfortable then.
Comfortably within the cut-off. And I think I could have gone sub 28, but I remember talking to good old Dan Park. I somehow ended up yo-yoing with him and ended up running the last 16 miles with him, and we were both at the top of the trig point before the last descent, and he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Let's just walk it in."
Yeah, Deaf Gully? I think so. I think
yeah,
that's the right
absolutely. Just like
sub 28 or an
bothered.
Ambulance.
Not bothered. It's a PB because it's the first one anyway. So
when I did mine, I was just looking for a completion. That's it. There was no other plan really.
Yeah, sounds like you.
Exactly. But it all went wrong on the third 100. That was the North Downs Way 100. Which,
terrific and very convenient that this is a race that's coming up for me and Rob. Anyway, literally 2 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah, let's say this
Indeed.
is coming
and
to the rearview
I'll
mirror
see you there because
quickly.
I'm volunteering and I'm pacing as well. So I'll see you guys
awesome.
there.
Where are you? Do you know where you're going to be based? Yeah.
Botley Hill.
Oh,
Botley Hill, so 41 miles, 43 miles, something like that.
Yeah, so it's about, I do kilometres, 69k. So I've got to get at least halfway to see you then, pretty much. So give you a wave. Oh, it's going to be good. Do you know what you're doing, Graham? Are you feeding me or watering?
No,
You'll find
don't
out
know yet.
No, you work out in
know.
the morning, don't you? But it's great. The Centurion Army, you know, it's brilliant. I've done a few of the races, obviously, like you. Not as many.
Okay, so Graham, talk to us about your experience with North Downs Way 100. Rob's done it before.
Both times.
Both times.
Both times. Yeah.
So I mean, I've covered 68 miles in one hit on a different race. Wasn't Centurion. Rob's obviously done his one of his hundreds on the North Downs Way. God damn the thing. So yeah, how did you get on with them both times?
So first time round, so 2017, I made a decision early in the year. 2016, I set myself really big goals, and I actually was aiming to do a sub-4 London Marathon.
Yeah.
I had a North Downs Way 50 place, I think it was 3 weeks later, and I was aiming for sub-10 hours at that, which would have been like a 2-hour PB. And then I had a place in the Autumn 100, and I was trying to go sub-24. So I had big goals for the year.
That's a lot.
I didn't hit the first one because I had some hamstring and calf issues on London, but I still got a PB. I had a really bad shin issue after that, and I DNF'd North Downs Way 50.
Oh.
So I spent the whole of the summer basically doing easy running. I was just going out for like 3-4 miles, very easy in the woods.
Yeah.
Hoping I'd be ready for Autumn 100. And somehow I pulled Autumn 100 out of the bag that year, so I did manage to finish that.
Was it based on all easy runs, quite short runs, Graham, or did you start to ramp stuff up to longer runs? And just for people that are thinking of doing like 100 based on easy training, what was the longest run you did before it?
I can't remember for Autumn 100 in 2016. I think probably something like 15, maybe. I might have done a slowish 15.
Wow.
I didn't do long because I was trying to do self-preservation, just thinking, look, I know I've done 100 before. I just need to get some consistency and not be injured. So I went in under-trained, but I think I did it in 2017, 21.
Wow, that's
something like
really
that.
Good.
So it was quite close.
I mean, it's close, but it's a good time, right? And that would have been a PB at that point, wouldn't it, for the 100?
It was a PB, yeah. It was a 100-mile PB, so that was pretty decent.
That's probably heartening on two levels, because for me, someone who personally I'm quite worried about the race, but Simon and I were talking about it offline, and he was saying something, others have said experience will count for a lot. So even if you're not necessarily completely tuned up and ready, your experience of having done it before, whether your training's been hampered by Corona or anything else, you've got a chance. And also those that maybe don't think they've done enough miles, therefore might be able to convert still.
Yeah, I think mentally it's really important. I think it's more important for me. It's more important to have turned up, physically okay rather than absolutely trashed. And
so for you then, sorry, Graham, it's more physical. You have to feel physically prepared rather than mentally.
No, I think you do need to be. I think the mental thing is crucial. I think I've developed a strong mindset over the last few years through doing this.
Yeah.
You won't get. You could be as fit as a fiddle. If your head's not in it, you'll pull out.
Yeah.
You've
Totally agree.
You've got to be on it. And going back to the first 100, actually a friend of mine, Phil, he had a conversation with Robbie Britton offline. And Robbie suggested not doing any long runs over 20 miles
for the whole training,
for the whole of the training for the 100, and I didn't do any over 20 for the first 100.
Wow. Okay. And here's me trying to run 50 miles in Corona.
For the Grand Slam. Yeah. For the Grand Slam last year, I think my longest training run was 18 miles.
Wow. Yeah, I remember you commenting to me, who wasn't doing a Grand Slam, obviously done lots of marathons and things last year, that I'd sort of managed to rack up more miles. But you'd obviously, the rest and stuff's so important, although I don't know quite how. I think it's about how you feel. You know your body, and you'll know, where you need to stop doing silly things. Like we're 2 and a bit weeks out now, aren't we, from the 100? I won't be doing any really long stuff anymore. It's all low intensity, really, for me. But that's just based on feel. Would you say that's a good idea? I mean, we need your advice.
Yeah, I got again. There's so many people out there giving great advice. So I went for a run with Sam Robson, who's done some really good performances at Centurion
And
races.
he's run
I think
Spartathlon.
he's doing North Downs. I think
Yeah.
he's done Sparta as well.
Yeah.
And I did. I think I ran with him about 4 weeks before South Downs 100 the first time, and he said, there's no point doing anything extra in training now. It's all about maintaining and not doing anything stupid in the next 4 weeks. You're not going to get any benefit in the last 4 weeks. And I think, it is about being sensible and just kind of not turning up on race day absolutely knackered and trying to just get cram in the last few miles, I think.
So that's helpful. I don't know how to phrase it, bringing us back on, but so when in 2017, when you did the North Downs Way 100, now obviously we know this is not a straightforward affair. What do you think you didn't get right, and then come on to after that how you fixed it when you did the slam and you completed the race last year?
Yeah. So I was going a rather circuitous route. I'm quite rambly, so apologies. So leading on from 2016, when I had that kind of just get fit enough and get okay to run autumn, in 2017 I decided to take a different approach, and I decided to be a bit more freeform in my training. And so I've always been very meticulous, always had a plan, always kind of stuck to it or adjusted the plan. I decided that I was going to basically wing it.
It sort of feels like how I am feeling about it.
It didn't go well. So I kind of had a view of, I'm going to be running 4 or 5 times a week. I won't be precious about when I need to do whatever session. I'll just go out. And the problem I had was that I basically, if you haven't got a plan, you kind of can let a day slip, and you haven't mentally thought, I haven't run today, I've got to run tomorrow. So I was inconsistent, and I was okay. I went for a run with our good friend Mark Thornbury about 3 weeks before, and I was feeling all right. Not great, but I was feeling all right. I actually did fall over a tree root half a mile before the end of our 20-mile run, and really badly bruised my my left shoulder, my collarbone, which kind of wasn't great. It was quite painful on the day.
Probably one of those injuries as well that doesn't heal very quickly at all.
Yeah, it's very, very badly bruised. Not broken, thankfully, but bottom line is, I turned up at race day. My backstory, as you know, Rob, my dad unfortunately became ill in June, and very suddenly turned the corner, and on end of June he basically died. So 6 weeks later I was lining up for a race, and I was still recovering from that. I set myself the challenge of running that race and getting the buckle for Bob. And I was determined that I was not going to quit, and I did not quit until I got timed out and I got lost. But I got to about a mile south of Holly Hill.
What sort of stage is that in the race, Graham?
That's over 100k
miles.
Yeah, that's right.
66. Okay.
So I was pleased to have got that far, to be honest. I wasn't sure I'd finish when I started, but I had that inbuilt drive to do it, to get that buckle.
I mean, you soldiered on for a while. I remember you got lost. I think I was actually watching you and some others on the tracker, because that year I wasn't doing, but having done it the previous year, I was like, I've got to get wrapped up in this drama. And I knew you by then, and we have obviously a bit of a story.
I got lost coming out of Trossley Country Park, and having read it last year, I was like, how did I get lost?
It's easy enough to do. It's odd. I think it was dumb luck that I didn't get lost when I did it the first time round, like more than for a mile. And it's quite the North Downs Way is something, I love it. A lot of people don't like it.
I hate it.
It's a bit cobbled together, isn't it? It's a bit cobbled together. Like 1 minute you're behind someone's back garden and some trees. The next minute you're on the top of Box Hill. It's just bizarre, the contrast. But it's lots of little nooks you can get lost in.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to what you said about kind of how I suppose redeemed myself last year with it, I think it was really important that I remember posting something on Facebook and kind of, I was quite cathartic in terms of writing stuff almost to my dad as if he could read it, and I still do that sometimes because it helps me. But bottom line is, I was really honest, and I just said I just wasn't good enough, and I wasn't. If my dad had not passed away, I don't think I'd have finished it anyway. I wasn't well trained enough, and I wasn't ready, and so I took it on the chin, and I just decided, right, okay, I need to reset. I think I had places in 2 or 3 of the Centurion hundreds for the following year, which I was thinking about doing, but I then decided, no, I'm not going to do any hundreds in 2018. I'm going to volunteer, and I'm going to just basically start again. Yeah. I'm going to rebuild my fitness. So after a bit of time off in November, I started using this platform called Trainers One. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Basically, it tells you like what you should do each day, doesn't it, for the consistency thing?
It's artificial intelligence. Yeah, you put in your goal, and it basically just programs your training for you. So for me, it was the best of both worlds, because I'd have an accountability in terms of that's what I've got to do. But also it was smart. So if I decided that I didn't want to do that run that day and did something else, it would adjust the plan. So it would still be heading me towards the end goal. So I really patiently rebuilt. And when I first started doing that, it was sending me out the door for like a 16-minute run.
Yeah, okay.
And I was thinking,
I wouldn't bother putting my shoes on, but that's very ignorant of me to say that.
And honestly, long runs were just like an hour. And I'm like, really? But I was really patient, and I did the Wendover Woods 50 in November that year. My goodness,
how did that go?
That's a beast. That's a beast of a race.
Yeah. Did it go okay? Like, was that sufficient prep? Were you surprised by how well you got on?
Well, it was a race of 2 halves for sure. I finished with half an hour to spare.
Yeah.
I was flying first 2 loops. I was absolutely flying. I think like 2 2.25 for the first loop, I think, which I was way faster than I thought I would. And then about 2:30, and then the third loop, I was absolutely dying on my arse. I was telling myself I can't do this. I was having all those mental demons coming back. Good old Zoe Norman flew past me on the third lap, and she was having a great day.
The Queen of Wendover.
Wendover Woods, 100 Queen.
Yeah.
And said, "Come with me," and I just had no energy.
I love it when people say that. It's the worst thing ever. Just leave me alone.
I was in a dark place. I know you've talked about this before, Rob. I got back at the end of lap 3, and I said to the guys, I spent the last 2 hours in a really dark place, telling myself I can't do this, questioning myself, saying I should just stick to, half marathons, all the kind of stuff that you think about. And I was getting cold and stuff. So anyway, I remember Ashley Hurd, shout out, he was great, calmed me down. Steve Allen, who finished the slam the year before, 50 slam. He was really good, and a couple of others. Apologies, but basically, got my head straight, got some hot food down me, changed top, mentally reset, left the tent, and turned round and shouted at the top of my voice, "Eye of the Tiger." With my arms raised, to which the whole of the tent turned around, including Mr. Elson, and looked at me. And I just thought, you know what? I needed to do that to reset.
Yeah.
And I was like a man possessed, and I kept going. And it was tough, but I came in and I got it done. And that was great prep for the Grand Slam. That really mentally set me up really well.
So you're saying, like, just as an aside, I think when I get to the top of Box Hill, and I think I'm going to be king of the world. That's what I'm going to shout.
Really,
Definitely.
Rob? Really?
Yeah. Well, it's
Definitely.
a thing now. Apparently, it mentally resets
Go for
me.
it,
So
Rob.
what are you going to shout, Simon?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here again. No, we spent the whole week there, haven't we, this week? Jesus Christ. I live quite locally to Box Hill, so I'll just be, here we go. Maybe I'll shout something when I'm in Caterham or Knockholt.
At some point, boy.
Yeah,
Don't worry
Knockholt.
about that. Knockholt.
And obviously, you've got to make sure the clippos are in hand.
Oh, I don't do that.
Calippos? Actually, no, I do Calippos.
Do you not? Clippos are a thing for sure.
I don't have time to go to the shop at Reigate and buy a Clippo. I've got to crack on. So how
they are potential. Go on, sorry.
Because I saw you last year, obviously, when we were allowed to give high fives. I remember giving you a big high five when you were walking into Ashford to finish North Downs 100. So what did you change other than all that training and prep? Was there anything about the race day, or mentally that was different that got you through what is a very tough endeavour? What's your advice, basically, to us?
So firstly, I'd had a confidence boost in that I was actually halfway through the slam, where you guys are starting
it's the first race. And in my opinion, this is the hardest one. If for some reason in my head, this is the hardest one.
I was dreading Thames Path.
Yeah.
Because of the flatness, and I think I would probably swap North Downs for Thames Path as the first, if I'm honest.
Why is that, Graham? So sorry, you'd rather see Thames Path being first?
No, I think North Downs is a better first one, I think.
Why is that then?
Than Thames Path, because you've got the natural ups and downs. You've got
to break the speed up,
and 2 hours
to break it up. Yeah,
extra 2 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I do hate the North Downs way.
Yeah, same. Absolutely hate it.
I'm in the wrong place.
But I think that had given me confidence. The fact that I had been training, I think for me, the consistency of the running over the previous 18 months and the fact that I felt good as was. I mean,
it must have been amazing that you completed, because on your slam, you'd have completed 2 races already.
Yeah.
So you're over halfway when you hit, the first mile of it.
And I did catch myself thinking, don't screw it up now, Graham. Come on, you're halfway through.
Yeah. This is what my big concern is about this year's one, because currently we've got 1 a month, right?
Yeah.
But that's no recovery time, really, is it?
No.
If you're a sensible person, which neither of us are. We used to be the circuit nutcases.
Yeah, so I'm taking it in stride. I think I've got some 50s that got deferred into the middle of some of the 100s as well, so we're going to have some decisions to make, but let's focus on the first one.
So, yeah, I mean, and lockdown for me, my running... Like you said, Graham, I think I'm winging this, and I think 2 weeks' time I'll be standing there and I'll feel like I'm not prepared for this. I am here and I'm going to wing this.
But you've got a really solid base. You've been running fast and you've been running really well for a long time, and you've done the 10 in 10s and all that.
Yeah,
there's so much behind you there that I think will stand you in really good stead.
Yeah, the experience points are there, but it's just so easy to cock up on this distance, I think. Less so on marathons and stuff like that. The 100s, to me, are a massive test, real big test. Where it was like multi-day marathon type things, I see them more as a holiday. In my head, the 100s are an absolute test.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Graham's told you can do it. Go on, Graham, do me now. I'm a 20-stone potato on legs. How am I going to finish it?
I think one of the differences was, for this one, when I failed first time round, I reached out straight away to Karen Webber and said, Karen, I'm going back in 2 years' time. Will you crew me? And straight away, she was straight on it, because she was all over the Buckle for Bob stuff.
Yeah.
And she was straight away. It'd be an absolute honour. So
as we said, obviously she's with Paul Mason right now, isn't she, on the Grand Union Canal? It seems to be she's a bit of a lucky star for quite a few people, is Karen.
She was amazing. She obviously has a reputation to uphold, and she gave me a few stern words when I needed them, but generally speaking, I don't think I needed them. I was on my game, but she did give me a kick up the arse when I got to Reigate Hill, for sure.
It was brilliant. I was there when she was psyching herself up to tell you off at Knockout. I made her a cup of tea and we were discussing just how brutal she should be.
And she was really annoyed because I went and bought myself a Clippo when they'd already bought me one.
She was, yeah. Naughty.
But that was good. It went down well. So that was a real help. But I think just I just ran to feel. I ran.
So were you drinking to first and eating when you were hungry, or were you quite strict with? Were you strict with your calories intake? I will be eating every half an hour, little and often. That's another thing that worries me.
Yeah, I was definitely drinking to thirst. I think in a post with Rob recently, he was talking about how much water should he take. I think for all the races last year, I had 2 soft flasks and an extra soft flask. from the start.
Okay, so we're talking 1.5 litres.
1.5 litres, and I needed it on the North Downs. And actually, I think if I hadn't had Karen Crew in me, at some points 2 litres might have been useful in between.
Because I think Rob was telling me that this year there is no aid station until about 14 miles or something.
The Putnam aid station is
not
there.
Yeah, the first aid station. So this is
that will screw me, because I'm just a guy that will run that 14 miles without taking on anything.
So essentially, the thing is, Newlands Corner is over a half marathon in 14.5 miles roughly. I've already decided, and I don't know if this helps anyone else, I'm going to have ice water packed in my vest, or maybe 2 ice waters in old Coke bottles. I need 2 litres for that distance, because the North Downs Way, I'll take the extra weight, but it can get very hot on that. On that date, really hot. It was the hottest day of the year back in 2016.
And the worst that happens is that you don't drink it and you just pour it over yourself anyway. So
the trouble is, though, if you don't drink water early enough in these, this is something is absolute golden raw. If you don't, you can't catch up.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go wrong. That's where I can go wrong big time.
Yeah, and as far as fueling goes, I kind of I tried to remind myself to eat little and often.
From the word go, isn't it? I think even Elson says from the word go.
Yeah, from about half an hour in. In fact, even before that, I mean, one thing that worked really well for me last year, I've done ever since, is baby bells. I'll be eating baby bells for the first 3 hours or whatever.
They don't get a bit mushy then?
No, they stay really well. I went out on a run the other day and was out for 6 hours. Came home 8 hours later. There's still one in my bag. Still at it.
Lovely dessert. See, I'm a rice pudding man. So if I was allowed, I'd hide rice pudding in little ditches all around the North Downs Way.
Oh, you had a rice pudding at Knockholt at 50. Yeah,
so
sure.
Graham, another topic I'm interested to hear your opinion on, having quite a high success rate on this. Crew, not crew, pace, not pace.
So first 100, no crew, no pacer.
Right.
Actually went really well. Second 100, no crew and pacer. I did have a pacer, and that went really well. Third 100, no crew, no pacer. Didn't go well at all.
So does it depend on the person, your preparation, and would you say, is it nice to have, or do some people, do you think, need pacers and crew and you don't necessarily, and it's personal?
I think my first 100, I decided I didn't want to put anyone through crewing.
Yeah.
And also because it is a big ask, and I wanted to prove to myself I could do it, and that meant that I didn't want a pacer for my first 100. And for the second one, people start offering, and I know you've had those kind of offers, Rob. People offer, and it's amazing. And last year, Tracy Watson literally contacted me. She contacted me, I think, 3 days before Thames Path and said, how are you doing? Have you got crew and pacer sorted? I had a pacer sorted. He was injured. He couldn't do it. Told her, she said, I'll be there. And she paced with the last 50. Amazing.
And that's incredible. I mean, I've spoken about Tracy Watson on here before, but, having a Centurion, is it triple 100 slammer in consecutive years, on your team, that's special.
She's a legend, and she was amazing. She was great at just kind of keeping you going. But I think if you haven't got a pacer, it just means you've got to pay more attention, which sometimes is better.
I think I'd like a pacer in the darker times but you'd hope they are good navigators. They can see the acorn, they know where they're going.
Yeah, that's the benefit.
That's the only reason I'd want one, just so that I wouldn't have to think about anything.
Yeah,
but then the benefit of pacing yourself, or not having a pacer, is that you have to stay more alert. So you have to look out for them. And if you're relying on someone else, sometimes you can just get lazy and end up tripping. I nearly fell over a few times last year, which could have ended my race because I just thinking, I'm just following that person.
There's a lot of routes out there,
so you don't really pay as much attention.
Yeah, I think I loved having pacers. I've never asked people; they've always volunteered, and it's become part of the adventure. But there are those dark times when you're not always going to get on, or you feel that you're getting lost, and that you can have a bit of conflict there. But to me, a pacer, I'm not a racer, so they're just opening gates and helping make sure I eat and stuff. So
and keeping morale up.
Yeah, no, it's good. I've had some offers, and I'm very grateful for them. But we'll see if we can sort you out with some, Si. I'll share.
Yeah.
And I mean, something else I've done on all my hundreds is I've put a little kind of card in my race vest with some little mantras or reminders. On the North Downs Way 100 last year, sorry, thinking about it now, I had a photo of my dad in my pocket.
And I wrote on a beer mat for you. Wasn't that special?
You did. I got that at Knockout, and I did read that. And hat tip to you, Rob, because I remember walking down to the start and you giving me some encouraging words, which were really much appreciated.
Yeah. You were always smiling that day, though. I'd say that's a thing, actually. I know it's not easy, but I've been in dark places on hundreds, even the ones I've finished, and being there and knowing you want to be there, whether it's because your dad's passed away like I was once upon a time, or whether it's because you really want to do it for you and you've just decided that's my reason, I'm doing it. You can't whinge and complain about it too much because you've paid to be there. You got to have a reason, right? Don't worry, Si. We'll find you a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I was just embracing my inner Goggins, big David Goggins fan, be savage, getting it done, stop complaining. And Karen's pretty much of that mindset, so she made sure I did. It was just push on.
Thanks for that. I think that will actually help a lot of people out there and definitely help getting my head straight again on it. So you mentioned right at the start, GC, that you were hoping to run along a canal a very long way. Now that we're coming back out and stuff's happening again, have you got any big plans for what's next for you? I suppose having completed the Centurion Slam, that's quite an accolade. What are you wanting to do next? Is it a canal? Is it Canal Slam? Anything else?
One of the canal races is definitely something I'm interested in doing. So we'll see.
Which one in particular, Graham? Not the Birmingham one, is it?
Well, it might be on the agenda.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna go in the ballot this year.
Good stuff.
Going back to go back to the slam. I never thought that I would do the slam. I've thought about it a few times and then thought, no, that's not for people like me. And I want to encourage people who listen to this to just forget about comparing yourself to others, because that's something I've suffered from a lot over the years. I'm not as fast as them. I can't run as far as them, etc. I was inspired to do the Grand Slam by 3 people. So one of them was Mark Thornbury.
Yes.
I remember running 2016 Autumn 100 when I did my second. Running it. Him passing me, all the goodwill, and him telling me, he gave me a few words of encouragement when I was thinking about doing it, and said it's well within your compass, which was such a Mark thing to say.
Yep.
After having conversation with him, after his diagnosis, and he was talking to me about my dad and stuff like that, and I was just thinking, do you know what? Life's too short. You don't know. Mm-hmm. I could say I need to run for another 5 years before I try it. And then, unfortunately, within 12 months, a couple of other friends of mine, one was diagnosed with breast cancer and one was diagnosed with eye cancer. And so that triple whammy, they're both fine now, thankfully. Good. But that triple whammy just made me think, do you know what? I've just got to go for it. I've just got to see.
Pull your finger out thing, isn't it? And I got the same from Mark.
And it was a bit of just like, right, I need to see. I'm going to do this. I can do this, and I did. And it still seems weird. I'm looking at my buckle now. It just still seems bizarre. Yeah. But I've always said I'm a completer, I'm a completer, not a completer. I'm just there to make up the numbers and to do it and to enjoy the journey. And I had some really good performances along the way. I've got some good PBs, but it's not about the time for me. It's about the experience.
So with all of your experiences then, Graham, we ask everyone this, but what's been your top 3 races or events that you've done personally?
Great question. Okay, so I think my
You don't have to go from 3 to 1. You can go 1 to 3.
No,
or just no order.
in the top 3 for sure, and I'm not sure what order. So 1 would definitely be North Downs Way last year because I got that buckle for Bob. That was real redemption.
Yeah. Even though you hate the trail.
I do hate the trail, although I'm tempted to go back and try it again next year.
Yeah.
So that one, and I had a can of John Smith's, which I got Karen to have ready for me because that was my dad's favourite tipple.
You were drinking it as I came into the stadium.
I
and she was
drank
like,
that
"Oi,
after
Cowley."
I finished and toasted my dad, so that was amazing.
Well, I saw you guys sitting there with your buckle and you sunning yourselves as I ran in the last runner in the whole thing.
It's really tricky. I'd say the Autumn 100 last year because it was the slam.
And that's the final one.
It's the final one, and because I finished it with 15 minutes to spare.
Wow, that's tight.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was tight. I think I had about an hour and a half buffer all the way through, and then I got to Reading turnaround at 87.5.
That's glamorous.
And I had 25 minutes when I left it.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Yeah. But I decided once we got to the last aid station, I had enough time in the bag. I said to Liam, who was pacing me, I said, I'm going to walk it in because I'm never going to be finishing a Grand Slam again, and I've got time, so I'm going to soak it in.
Let's milk all this pain where the floor feels like lava.
I did. And I'm glad I did. Although I do secretly wish that I'd waited at the bench at the bottom by the Thames and had Drew run me in just to beat the clock.
And then trip. That's showboating, Graham. Come on.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
And what's your third one?
So that one, third one, I'm gonna have a joint one here if you don't mind. So one would be the South Downs Way 100 2015 because it was my first ever finish of 100, and it was just amazing. And actually, along with that is an adventure run I did in 2017. So this is before North Downs Way, but I decided to run the West Sussex Literary Trail, which is a fairly unknown trail, which is even worse in places than North Downs Way, and not very well marked in lots of places. And it's 54 miles from Horsham to Chichester. And I basically ran it self-supported.
Okay, so it's just made up adventure before they were a thing in lockdown.
Yeah, so I was going to do it on my own, and thankfully Chris Brisley, great guy, said he'd join me. He had a satellite kind of map, GPS kind of device. I had the paper maps, Ordnance Survey maps. Matt Bevan joined us for the first 10 miles, and we basically made our way 54 miles, stopping in pubs for top-ups of water, the occasional Coke, and it took us 17 hours to do 53 miles. But it was amazing adventure.
That's all right. You can take your time.
It was great. It was just brilliant. And I remember Alan Rumble saying to, sorry, I'm name dropping like a pro, aren't I?
Yeah.
But Alan Rumble's messaged Chris Brisley, and this was another confidence builder because he said to Chris, that's more difficult than a 100-miler with aid stations because you're having to kind of propel yourself.
Yep, I've found that all through lockdown. Not having aid stations, just petrol stations and post offices.
I've had the phone calls asking me where they are.
Yeah.
HQ. It's all right. We're getting through this together.
Definitely.
Great. That's a great.
So that would be my top 3-4.
Very good. All right. Cheers, Graham. It's been really great having you on. I'm really looking forward to seeing you. We both are. We're going to get there. And then, we'll hopefully catch you at the end when you're pacing whoever in, but we'll have to see how we go for time. But thanks very much for coming on and sharing your wisdom.
Definitely need to have some big smiles from you guys as you approach Botley Hill.
Yeah. No, I'll put the GC grin on.
Because it's a nice long stretch up to that.
Aid station number 6.
And we'll have a socially distant Corona 5, and maybe you can have a tinny waiting for us. That'd be all right. We're both Brewdog fans, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to say, guys, it's been really humbling to be asked to come on here. I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best on your Grand Slam journeys. It's a hell of an adventure.
Oh, man, yeah, especially if it's going to be short and sharp and quick and painful.
Yours this year is definitely a tough ask, but, you've both got it in you.
Oh, that's good to hear, mate.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you very much, and thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, mate. Bye.